A lot of the different funds have come out now, and they're late on their mortgage payments to their lenders, and that's not a good sign. I don't see that turning around. I think it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath before it gets better.
You heard it right here, alarming words. Well, when you say bloodbath, that's pretty alarming. Barbara Corcoran on commercial real estate, she was right here saying that, and here are some numbers to prove it. This chart shows office vacancy rates hitting an all-time high. Yeah, you'd have to go back to about 2010, and then it just nudged right above it. This news does not point to this chart reversing course anytime soon. In addition to job cuts, you've got Meta just announcing it wants employees to return to the office, but only for 3 days a week, right? Just like Amazon, which means not as much office space will be needed. Adding the resetting of loans building owners took out when rates were much lower, and the picture for commercial real estate is looking very worrisome. But where some see disaster, others see at least the start of opportunity. Let's get to the man who earned green doing just that. Self-made real estate billionaire Jeff Greene joining us in a Fox Business exclusive. Jeff, you have made your fortune waiting for the right moment where things look, well, to use Barbara's words, the bloodiest. Are we there yet in commercial real estate?
Not even close. I mean, when you think about it, Liz, look, we had the most aggressive fiscal and monetary stimulus program in history, and we're still living off of that. People have rented office space because they were getting the extra trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in the economy that were pumped in the last few years. That is still in there. That's going to trickle down now. There are certain, like I'm a builder, so I'm building 2 30-story towers here in West Palm Beach. There are 400 people working there today. When those buildings are done, there won't be work for those people. That's going to translate to a big economic slowdown. So with what's happening in office space today, this is before the slowdown. Wait till we have the recession.
We are showing some video of what I believe, do we have that video of his Palm Beach? You've got 2 30-story towers in West Palm Beach, is it? These will be the highest buildings in that area right now. When is it supposed to be done? Because when you say...
Oh, there you go. That's the gym with the indoor pool. Isn't that beautiful?
And you're calling it the greenhouse with an E, just like your name. I like
greenhouse,
it.
Yes.
It looks beautiful.
Well, look at all the green. That's like a big greenhouse.
You worried we'll be in a recession?
That's the indoor tennis courts.
Oh, of course you would have that because you got to have those features. But are you worried that you won't be able to fill these spaces?
And that's the game room. Look at that game room with the bowling alleys. Well, look, I mean, Liz, that building, these 2 30-story towers are going to be the best buildings in the market. So they're going to be a category killer. You know, we have only 200,000 feet of the best office space with big ocean views. And, you know, there's millions of feet of office space. So when you build the best, newest one, you'll get the tenants. The problem is, you know, the other buildings that have tenants are going to lose them. And people are going to be, as bad as it is for office space now, companies are going to be cutting back. They're going to be reducing space. And how about when AI starts to kick in? We're in the early stages of that. That's going to be a sledgehammer to white-collar jobs.
Okay, sledgehammer to white-collar jobs, but again, you're the guy who has been able to scoop up great properties when they were down in the dumps, down in the dredges of, oh, this is never going to come back. I mean, you were in Los Angeles. You did that exact same thing back in the day. So at what sign will you be looking for that tells you, now I'm going to invest?
Well, I think when everybody agrees that it's hopeless and it's never coming back and that there'll never be anyone in an office building again because people just don't use offices anymore and there's no hope whatsoever, that's the time you have to go in. You know, and when everyone else is greedy, you got to be fearful. When everyone gets super fearful, that's the time to get greedy. And it's not now. Now it's not right now. Right now, we're not in a time of distress now. People are having issues, but you don't have foreclosures yet. You don't have people not making their payments in a big way. We're just in the early stages of this. But I think, you know, as this economy slows, you're going to start to see some real problems with people being able to, you know, pay their loan payments and to refinance their loans.
You're already seeing that, Jeff. I mean, certainly when the loans are resetting, Brookfield, for example, has several buildings that have either been brushing up against foreclosure, are in it right now, have had to be sent back to the bank because they're defaulting. And you look at some of the other situations where, you know, the 10-year yield, for example, 30-year, 3.87%, 10-year yield had been so much lower, much higher now. So when those loans start to reset, Is that going to be the trigger for a very ugly domino effect? And you don't, by the way, let's clarify, you don't have debt. You don't borrow money to build these buildings, right?
I don't have any partners, investors, or a loan on my properties. And that, that gives me, that's the reason I can keep smiling. But at this point in my life, I don't want to have that kind of pressure. So I just do what I can handle out of my cash flow. But I can tell you that most people in the market today have not been in the market, have not been around that long. And, since we had the dot-com bust in 2002, we've had artificially depressed interest rates. So people have never had this experience of rates going up. And I can tell you, I see people all the time who are panicked because they're thinking, how am I going to pay off my construction loan when the apartment building I'm building is done? When rates have now gone up way beyond what I can afford and rents are dropping. And so I think you're going to have not just office buildings. People aren't going to be able to afford to pay off their home loans that are due or their apartment building loans. It's, we are heading into a very frightening time in the entire real estate industry.
That said, tell me what you're seeing down in Palm Beach. Obviously, Florida has been the gift that just keeps on giving for anybody who is a seller in this market. It looks to some bubblicious. I asked Barbara Corcoran that. She said, nah, it's not a bubble. Not in Florida. Not right now.
I think we're getting very overbuilt in a lot of categories here. There's no question about it. Look, what people don't understand about Florida is the people that came here were going to come here. I mean, basically, the feeder cities to South Florida, New York and Philadelphia and Boston, Chicago, when you have a pandemic in those cities, you had to shut those cities down because subways and high-rise buildings, they shut down, and at the same time you invent Zoom and Teams, and people that were going to come here in 2023, 24, 25, 26, you know what? They all came at once in 2021 and 22. And so then what does that do? It creates an enormous amount of activity. It creates tremendous demand in a supply-constrained market. Prices go through the roof, and a lot of very naive people think that's the new normal. In fact, not only is it not the new normal, a lot of people that would have been coming next year have already come here. So I think we're going to have an inward migration is going to slow down a lot. The other thing we have as a new factor, which we never had before, is a lot of the people that were coming here before, remember, they were coming to Florida in 2021, 22.
Right.
They could sell their house in Connecticut at a nice price because it was way up in value, and they'd buy a cheaper house here with a 2.5% loan. Now they have to sell the house in Greenwich that has a 2.5% loan and buy one here that's much more expensive with a 6.5% loan. So we're going to have a little bit of a slowdown in demand, and I think we've created an enormous amount of supply. So things are going to be tough. I love Florida, bullish as anybody, but we're going to be hitting a bump in the road now.
As a businessman, you got two Floridians running for president, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis certainly pulled away the welcome mat from Disney. He's been attacking them. If you were forced to pick between these two, well, I guess you could throw in President Biden because he's definitely the Democratic nominee. Well, not nominee, but he's the one who's obviously said he's in and he's going to run. Is there one better than the other at this point from where you stand as a businessman?
Well, I would stay with President Biden because, I think we've already, I'm a Democrat. I'm a moderate Democrat, but I believe in taking care of people who are struggling, and I think that's what the Democratic Party is better at doing. Ron DeSantis, I don't understand what he's done with Disney. I mean, when everyone who's watching your show, when you think of Disney, what are they thinking about? Mickey Mouse going to a theme park with their grandkids or their kids? He's talking about putting a prison next to Mickey Mouse. What is he trying to do? And it is destroying jobs. They were going to bring 2,000 jobs here. He wants to be president. He should resign from being governor because he's destroying our state. This crazy abortion law, the most restrictive in the country, in our state of Florida now, where you can't get an abortion before you even know you're pregnant. I mean, I think he's just gone a little too far with everything. And the sad thing is he's doing it to run for president, but we're going to have to live with the consequences of his actions here in Florida for a long time.
Jeff Greene, billionaire real estate investor and Floridian. I'll tell you something, we're looking at a really big rally. I know Jeff has invested in Meta and Google and done very well with those.
Yes.
Good to see you. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Liz, thanks for having me. All the best.
Anytime.